After a few more minutes, you can see these are starting to look a lot drier. If I tilt the pan, you can see there's a little bit of liquid in there, but there's not very much. Now, a small amount of this comes from the butter, but we're going to try to cook most of that out. And after we've done that for a few more minutes, this is what you want. It's drier and crumbly looking. I've broken it up into small pieces. When I stir it around, you can see nothing is bubbling. There's just a little steam still coming off. So they're not dry, but they're mostly dried out on the surface at least. And you can see when I tilt the pan, there's little to no liquid because I've cooked all of that excess water out. Now there is a little bit of extra butter fat in there. That's good. That's going to help these taste like potatoes, give them the right texture, but we don't have any liquid. So these are good. These are ready for the blender. Now we're going to come over to our blender, and I have a pretty high-powered blender here. You can do this with any of them, but I'm going to put in about 2 ounces of cream cheese. Then I'm going to add some fresh mozzarella. You cannot use the shredded kind. You need the fresh kind. This is like a pre-sliced one, so I'm going to put in about 4 to 5 of these slices. It's a couple of ounces of fresh mozzarella cheese. Okay, next we're going to add in a little bit of Daisy sour cream. Use whatever your favorite brand is. This is just the one that's easiest for me to get hold of that seems to be as clean as I can find. I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons.
And the Daisy brand is a good sour cream to use because they just use heavy cream. There's not a bunch of fillers in it, those fillers that directly lead to cancer. So the Daisy brand is a really good filler, and you can find that in almost every grocery store. Even Walmart carries all of that. So that's a really good. This is the carnivore version, so it's going to be packed with protein and little to no carbs, like hardly any, if any at all. And this looks so delicious and so tasty. You wouldn't believe these ingredients together how incredibly close to a mashed potato it tastes. It's really quite crazy.
Of sour cream. You can use a little bit more if you really like the flavor, but you don't want to go too overboard on this. A couple of tablespoons is plenty, but it just offers that nice kind of watery consistency of a potato. And then this is a secret. This is going to be about a teaspoon of just grated Parmesan cheese. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's going to...
Do not do that part. You guys heard me earlier. I get down with everything else, but do not use that Parmesan cheese. It's so bad for you. Just get the grated. It's like you can get it for a couple bucks. The grated, they're always on sale because they need to move it because it's fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Get the grated Parmesan cheese. It will change your life, and it will not ruin all the progress you just did. Even a teaspoon, you just don't want to do it. Use the fresh grated Parmesan cheese that you find in like the cheese section where it's in the cooler box section. Just a pro tip. I'm telling you right now, don't do that.
To help significantly. And then this is the secret ingredient. This is toasted beef gelatin. Put a teaspoon or 2, I have more than that, but put a teaspoon or 2 of this into a dry skillet. Turn on a medium heat and keep stirring it around until it turns this golden yellow color. It does not smell very good. It does not taste very good. But when you mix it in here, it's going to taste like potatoes. So we're going to put in 1 to 2 teaspoons. I put in a little more than 1 teaspoon. It doesn't really matter exactly. And then I'm going to put in a little white pepper. This is another optional seasoning, but I really like a little bit of white pepper in my potatoes, and it just makes this taste a lot more like potatoes to me. Okay, then we're also going to add some regular beef gelatin that has not been toasted. We're going to put in about a tablespoon of beef gelatin. It does not have to be exact, but you want a little bit of that beef gelatin in there. And then we're going to
have... Okay, so I guess this is what makes it carnivore. I have definitely tried those other dishes, but I've never tried this one. So this one looks like you need a lot of extra ingredients that you probably wouldn't normally have. I would have probably just left it alone at the egg whites with the butter and then added like some cauliflower mash in there with my garlic and salt and all the things, and then added some shredded Parmesan cheese without all these extra things. But, you know, I'm willing to try it. I don't know what the stuff is that he's the toasted things that he just was talking about, but it's not like I wouldn't try it because, you know, I'm all about that carnivore diet also, the carnivore meals. So, I mean, this is going to be so crazy loaded with protein. So if you really need to get your protein intake and you are looking for a great way to do that, look at this. Egg white protein powder with 16 grams right there in just this little bit. Plus, he already had all those egg whites. Plus, he put the protein in from the Parmesan cheese. You know, plus he just did whatever that beef gelatin is going to have tons of protein in it. So this is power pack, that's for sure. Let's finish.
I have egg white protein powder, but that's going to come in at a later point, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So we're just going to add our hot scrambled eggs on
Yeah,
top
the
of
cream
everything in the
cheese.
blender, and we're going to blend it all up and turn this into mashed potatoes. Okay, so all we're going to do is get all of those in the blender and make sure that you don't miss any of that butter fat. You can see that fat in the pan there. That's definitely not water. That is butter fat.
Yep.
That is flavor. That is fantastic nutrition. We want to make sure to get all of that out there in the blender. Okay, now this is a point where we're going to go ahead and put the top on, and my blender has this little extra hole on top. This way you can use something to kind of push down into it, and that way we can get this to start to blend up. So I'm going to start this on low. I've got it blending, and if it's not pushing into the blades, I'm going to use my little pusher here. I'm going to push it down into the blades. If you don't have something like this on your blender, just take the top off, use a
I just mash mine with my hands with the potato masher. I just mash it up.
into this smushy stuff. I'm going to add some more salt. I tasted it and I wanted a little saltier, so I'm going to add about another half teaspoon of salt. This is the point where we're going to add our egg white protein powder on the top, just a little. We don't need a lot of this, okay? So I'm going to do like a couple of tablespoons here, and I'm not even measuring this. I'm just putting about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. It's really more for flavor and texture than it is anything else that we're going to do, because this doesn't need to be cooked anymore. So we're going to put the top back on with that egg white powder on top. I'm going to slowly increase the speed again. We're going to all blend down in there, use the pusher if necessary. And once that's done, you can see what this has done for the texture of this. I'm just checking the texture, making sure it's well mixed. There's no lumps, there's nothing in there. And now you can see this is a mashed potato texture. See, look at that right there. It's really, really creamy. I'm going to give it one more really good blend on high just to make sure it's good to go. And after sitting in the blender just for a minute, that is carnivore mashed potatoes. Now, all I'm going to do is put this in a bowl, and I'm going to come over here. You don't have to do this, but this is the window dressing. I like to do this. This is what my grandma always used to do with her mashed potatoes, and it just makes them taste fantastic. I'm going to take a spoon, push a little well into the center of the mashed potatoes. Okay, you can see how nice and smooth and mashed potato textures these are. And then once I've got a little well, I'm just going to come over from the microwave. I've got a couple tablespoons of butter, and I'm just going to pour some melted butter right on top to finish our carnivore mashed potatoes. Guys, these are fantastic.
Now, if you guys saw the video before, if you haven't, you can rewind it. You should go back and look at how to make that gravy that is with the bones, the bone broth. It is so delicious with xanthium gum and butter and bone broth, chicken bone broth, and you just let it simmer. The xanthium gum is not going to spike your glucose or your sugar or any. It's not going to throw anything out of whack, or your insulin. You put it in, you let it on slow simmer just to thicken up. That is because it has the chicken stock. So it's going to make it more like a gravy, like a turkey gravy that you would use at Thanksgiving. It's so good. It is so good, and it is great ingredients. It's everything like the soul food that you this like the chicken noodle soup to heal your soul when you have a cold or you have an infection, because it's the actual broth from the bone. It's all of the bone marrow and all of the essential nutrients that your body needs to thrive when you are going through a sickness or a cold. But that is going to be put into your gravy, and it is going to be so delicious, so nutritious, and it is not going to affect you like a normal like store-bought gravy. It's not going to be spikes of high cholesterol or any of those things that happen when you are consuming so much salt. If you look on the back of the package and it says like 1100, like over 1,000 milligrams of sodium, but what you're not seeing is there might be 2 or 3 servings in that little packet of you making your own gravy. It's astronomical how much. So then after you eat that little bit of gravy, just a little topping, because you didn't make it like the other way, is so the same thing. If you're making it out of the packet, you're just putting the ingredients, you're still taking all the efforts and all the steps to make that gravy. Do it with the bone broth. It's just bone broth, xanthium gum, and butter. and you're just mixing it in together. You're doing the same thing, but you are saving yourself heartache and body ache and belly ache and swelling. You ever have your fingers swell after you're having like these big meals? Your fingers are swelling because all the ingredients in it are loaded with sodium. You can't even imagine how much sodium is in some of the stuff. And you can't get your rings off your fingers anymore, or your feet are swelling. Now your shoes aren't fitting properly, and your ankles are swelling, or you got gout and the gout's swelling up. Don't do it. You can have a delicious meal without doing that to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. If you go to my channel at Kara Chris TV on YouTube, my playlist, you go to click on my playlist. I have everything that are on my vids, my podcast vids. It says podcast info vids. All of these recipes are going to be in there. Everything that I show you on my podcast are in that playlist. So it's going to be everything that's new for our channel today is going to be at the bottom. So everything is going to be listed at the bottom. All these videos are going to be at the bottom. So please, we got a promo code in there for the Kettle and Fire. Do the kettle and fire. If you're going to go down this intermittent fasting journey with me, and you're going to be doing this like cancer fighting, full gut reset, reboot to your whole system that only takes a few days to do, even if you've spent your lifetime damaging your body, you're going to step into the new year with me doing these things. You're going to want that bone broth stocked up in your pantry. It's a staple. It's how we make it through. It's how we keep healthy. It's how we keep on track. It's such a good staple for cooking your meals, keto-friendly meals, and not losing the flavor and keeping all the nutrition right and fair and just in your body, because it's not filled with a bunch of antibodies that are like these farmers and these people are using to amp up the size of their cattle or their chickens, and they're putting all this in there, and it's directly linked to all this cancer. It doesn't have any of that in it. It's a family-based farm that they make sure that they got free-range chickens that they use, that they take well care of their chickens and their children probably. And it's also got grass-fed animals that they use. I'm telling you, this is the company you want to use. It's Kettle and Fire. You can trust the nutrition that's in there, and they're very open. They pass all the inspections of pesticides and all of that stuff in their soil and their plant and their foods that they feed their animals. It's going to keep you out of cancer zone and keep you in the zone of eating healthy, yummy meals. Like that gravy for the cauli mashed. Oh my gosh, that gravy you can't even. It's so good, you feel like it's sinful. It's so tasty, you feel like you're doing something bad, but it's so good. Like, you can go back for that second helping and know this is fine, and my body is not gonna go out of whack with my insulin resistance, with my, all of the glucose levels. Everything's not gonna be going haywire if I have some more of that. And it is so tasty. If you haven't caught that, I see some new people have joined in. Go back and watch those videos, or I have all the videos that I've showcased on here in my playlist on at Kara Chris TV on YouTube. Go to my playlist. It's the very first playlist listed, and it says podcast info vids. Click on there. There's a discount code for this company. They're probably already running promotions because it's the holidays and they're trying to get the word out. But if you're on keto, paleo, any kind of all the things, all the stuff, this is the stop for you. This is what we do to break the fast. I have so many videos on my own with the bone broth. The bone broth is the jam. That's how you introduce the protein and all the essential vitamins and nutrients back into your body when you have a full gut and biodome, like 100% full reset in there. You don't want to be throwing a bunch of junk in there when you just took all of your time and effort in keeping that food out of your mouth so your body could replenish itself and just give itself a whole once over. Now, you're going to have that glowing skin. You're going to have that cell regeneration. You're going to have fresh new baby hairs that are coming in real thick and strong. Your nails are going to start, the bottom of your nail beds are going to start coming in real thick and strong when you do that 36, 48, 72-hour fast. Any one of those. I'm doing the 72-hour right now. I'm at 46 hours now, and I'm feeling great. No food, full energy, you guys. It's legit. It's real. It's a thing. So many studies over decades, centuries, so many great studies that doctors have done over time about the effectiveness of this. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to have a natural collagen reboot, you want that natural skin reboot, you're getting dark circles, you got dark skin patches that are showing up, you want to just a full refresh, you got little lines that are starting to show up or deeper lines that are starting to set into your skin. Do that 36 to 48-hour fast, 72 if you dare to do it with me. People will think that you went and had some work done. It's 100% true. People will be like, what's going on? It's your body replenishing that collagen, that elastin. It's taking all those dead cells that are underneath the skin that are getting it crepey or drawing it in, and there's no plumpness to it. It's eliminating all of those. And not only is it eliminating it, it's taking them and feeding them to your good cells for full rejuvenation. I'm telling you right now, it is the absolute everything. And it's free to do. Not only is it free to do, think about the money you save if you didn't eat any of your meals for 3 days. I mean, and then when you start introducing it, you're starting it with that bone broth, starting with maybe a couple hard-boiled eggs, or maybe you can like have a little omelet with some eggs. I wouldn't go too heavy on the cheese unless you're doing feta cheese or Parmesan cheese or goat cheese. Any of those cheeses would be a little less pungent on your stomach when you're first introducing. But that bone broth, I cut up some chives, I put in the bone broth, I sip that bone broth. It is so good. It's just like having chicken soup, when you're sick, eat the chicken soup. So tasty. Especially if you haven't been putting anything in your body, you're going to feel good and you feel full fast. Imagine, right? 3 days with no food. Imagine how tiny your stomach gets. Your face chisels out, your fingers, your swelling, all the inflammation in your body, your hips. Maybe you had hip problems, you had knee problems, you had ankle problems, all that gone. Like boom, out of here. Everything, your skin, I'm telling you, skin, hair, fingernails, everything just starts to get dry and brittle, especially in a time like this in a winter time. Everything starts all over. You get like supple looking skin, plump, the under eye area that might be sunk in starts to poof up again because you got all this new collagen stimulation. I'm telling you, all the little fine lines that started having a home there, they start wiping away. Like you just wipe them away. No tricks, no gimmicks. It's just your body giving back to you. It's your body operating how it should operate. And then you get all the amazing benefits from it. So you want to have that kettle and fire. Let's keep going on with a couple of these recipes. Definitely want to rewind because those recipes in the beginning, oh my gosh. I'm telling you, so good. This one is the carnivore. This, I hope he shares it. This thing probably has who knows? I don't know, 50 grams of protein, maybe more in it per serving. Like this is hefty on the protein side for sure. No wonder they call it the carnivore mashed potato.
Fantastic. This is one of the best things I've ever created.
Okay guys, there you go. That is the carnivore mashed potato recipe. I know it's crazy, but I'm telling you, they actually taste a lot like mashed potatoes. If you gave this to somebody and they didn't know what it was made of, I'm telling you, they would not know that it's not mashed potatoes. So to give you guys an understanding of just how good these are, my mom's actually gonna give you a live reaction because she's never tasted this recipe. She helped me make it, but she hasn't actually tasted it. So we're gonna make sure there's plenty of butter on there because I am my mother's son. She loves butter as much as I do.
Feed me?
Yep, I'm gonna feed you. Tell me what you think.
Those are good. Pardon me as I talk with food in my mouth, but those are good.
Yep. Now, is that a better alternative to mashed potatoes?
Absolutely.
Say cauliflower or something?
Absolutely. The texture is so much better than cauliflower mashed potatoes. The flavor's there. I mean, it literally feels like Nana's mashed potatoes.
Yes,
when you
yes.
eat
That is the thing when you do the cauliflower mashed potato. It does have a certain texture to it. If you're a texture-based person that, you can't eat certain foods because of the way it feels in your mouth, then you might want to try this carnivore option because he didn't use any cauliflower. So, I mean, and my gosh, like if you're trying to beef up your muscles and really get that good muscle tone, this is the way to do it without losing any flavor. I mean, that's a lot of protein, like a lot. I'm actually very excited to try this. I just have to get some of those ingredients that he talked about, which was the beef. What was it back here? Let me back it up some. It was this stuff right here he talked about. Don't use that, but this right here.
And then this is the secret ingredient. This is toasted beef gelatin. Put a teaspoon or two, I have more than that, but put a teaspoon or two of this into a dry skillet, turn on a medium heat, and keep stirring it around until it turns this golden yellow color. It does not smell very good. It does not taste very good. But when you mix it in here, it's going to taste like potatoes. So we're going to put in one to 2 teaspoons. I put in a little more than 1 teaspoon. It doesn't really matter exactly.
Okay, so it's the beef gelatin. That's what I'm going to look up, the beef gelatin. And Bo, you asked me about the pasta. So if you're getting the pasta, like from the grocery, a pasta that your body can digest that doesn't spike you up, you want to get an Italian brand of pasta. And the pasta name that I would like that I use is Di Cecco, and it's got, I don't know if you can see it here. It's not going to let you see my phone for some reason, but it's DECECCO. It's a light blue box. Let me see if I can pull it up on another realm. It's Di Cecco. The ingredients you want it to say in the back is durum wheat. So that's the wheat that your body can digest easily. It's DURUM. DU with rum. Durum wheat, it's semolina. I kept saying semolia. I kept getting stuck. Semolina, that's the wheat. Is fully able to digest and not spike your insulin and all of it go crazy. So as long as whatever the brand you look on the back and the number 1 ingredient is durum wheat. Durum wheat, semolina. Semolina wheat is the wheat that you can use that is not going to spike your insulin and get your body out of whack. So the other ones I wouldn't even touch. This Italian brand, if you look at a lot of the any Italian brand, I would feel like is safe. And some French brands, but I would go with an Italian. If you're talking pasta, I would go with an Italian brand, but make sure it is the durum semolina wheat on the back. Durum, DURUM. And the reason why is because in those countries, it is illegal. Absolutely 100% finable and illegal. Like you can serve time if you are caught with a company that is putting these additives, these pesticides and these additives in your food. You will get caught, you will be fined, and you can even face jail time if you're caught putting that stuff in your food. So it's not even allowed in those countries. That's why you want to make sure you get the Italian. If you're going to eat pasta or even bread, a bakery bread, make sure you're getting it from an Italian restaurant or a French restaurant that is actually Italian or French. Not like a chain. If you got a local like delicatessen or a local Italian or in French area that has they make the bread there, they'll usually make it with the durum semolina wheat. Make sure that's your first ingredient. Okay? Then you will be in the clear. Okay, Bo, that's the one. It's called Di Cecco, the one I have. I don't know if they have that out there. Just make sure it's an Italian brand. It's DECECCO, Di Cecco. Okay, so let's move it along. So now we're going to go into the playlist that I created, and this is going
There
to
are
be
9 very clear
ways to, hold on, let me back this up.
I'll blow up.
Ways to burn the
There are
fat
9
off.
very
And hold on. What are we in? Oh, there. Wait, hold on. Let me see if this is. Nope, that's the one.
Hey guys.
My bad.
This is
My bad.
so delicious.
We saw her.
So I've recently gotten a lot of new people on my
4
channel.
of these,
And
and
if
then
you're
we're
one
gonna
of
go
them,
to some
welcome.
fun holiday.
A lot of my older videos have some
games
absolutely incredible recipes
that we can do
especially some
to burn those calories off and get active. Okay.
keto mac and cheese. You're going to need some butter. And the ingredients on this recipe are very important. Get the best that you can because there's very few ingredients.
This is a good.
So all the flavors are really going to come out. The better the ingredients, the better the flavors. You're going to need a couple eggs, And these are local pasture-raised eggs. They're going to have a bright orange yolk, a ton of nutrition, and a ton of flavor. You're going to need extra sharp cheddar cheese. This is very important that you get this extra sharp kind because of the flavor you're going to need to bring out of this. Now, my Nana did not put salt or pepper when she wrote down this recipe because they always do it to taste. So I tried to put the amounts that I think you're going to need, but make sure you taste it and see what you think. You're going to need some pepper and then paprika. She always sprinkled the top with this paprika, so it made it look really nice. Also gave it a little bit of flavor. And of course, you're going to need some heavy cream. Oh,
You, Daniel.
and I almost forgot the star of the show. Let's go over and grab this box and let me show you my secret ingredient that helps make this low carb without having to eat cauliflower and pretend that it's macaroni. Let's do some real macaroni, y'all. This is the box that contains the secret to my low carb keto mac and cheese. We should see what's in it.
Whoa, good phone app.
Let me show you these noodles. They're from the Great Low Carb Bread Company. They have a ton of different products, from their pastas to pizza crust, cookies, muffins. They have a lot. This one has
Again, you get the Italian version, the semolina, the pasta. If you don't want to substitute it for cauliflower, like he's saying, you want to actually have the pasta, make sure it's durum wheat semolina and you're good to go. Most of the Italian brands, because they can't, it's illegal to not. So you can use that. I don't know what company he's on about, but it's probably one of his promoted companies. But it does say only 7 net carbs, so we'll see.
7 grams of net carbs per serving, which is a quarter of this macaroni and cheese. So these are delicious. I will put a link down below so you can order these.
18 grams of fiber.
You'll be able to get them before Thanksgiving. They've told me that their lead time is really good. They know this time of year people are going to be wanting to make macaroni and cheese. Order some of these and try it out for yourself. I've tried a lot of these, and this is definitely my favorite. It's a real legit macaroni noodle. So let me go ahead and prep all these ingredients, and I'm going to show you how to put this awesome 100-year-old mac and cheese recipe turned keto together. I'm going to post a picture of her original recipe somewhere in this video so you can see the recipe in her writing. Anytime I saw something with that handwriting on it, I knew it was going to be good, whether it was a recipe or if she sent me a card. I really miss her a lot, but hopefully she's looking down and it'll make her proud that I'm sharing her recipe with so many people. The modifications I had to make was her original recipe called for margarine, and of course I'm using butter. And instead of the evaporated milk, which has got a lot of carbs, I'm using heavy cream. Now what I'm going to use to put this in today is about a 9.5 inch pie plate. Ideally you want to use a 9x9 square for this one. And I'm going to put in the description a recipe to double it, or you would use a 9x13 casserole dish. Nana used to call this macaroni pie. Today it's actually going to look like a pie. Y'all leave me a comment if you've ever heard anybody call it macaroni pie before. But I'm just going to spray it down with some avocado oil, and I'm going to go over to the stove and start cooking my pasta to the package directions. Once your water comes to a rapid boil like this, we're going to pour in this macaroni. And you're going to want to stir this up a few times during this process. It's going to take about 11 minutes. It cooks a little bit longer than normal pasta because of the amount of protein in it. So just check it after about 10, see how it's doing, but I think 11 is a perfect time to boil this. And just give it a little stir every once in a while. You don't want this to stick together. And what you're looking for is you want it to be al dente. So when you take one out to try it, you want it to have a little bit of bite to it. You don't want it to be mushy and falling apart. So we'll check back after a few minutes and see how it's looking.
So with these noodles, I'm not sure because these are like one of those keto-friendly, high fiber. So that is what manipulates the carbohydrate, the net carbohydrate. So if you are getting something that's, there's a lot of companies that do make it, but if you just want a pasta that your body can break down and you use the Durum Semolina, like an Italian company, you should be totally fine. But if you want some that does have that extra fiber in it, there's a lot of companies that do make pastas that are, you put like keto friendly pasta, and there's going to be some companies that come up. Just make sure the ingredients look nice. I'll put some ingredient links. I tried to find his link that he said he was going to post, and I don't see it, but you can check this video out yourself in my playlist that is going to be on my YouTube channel, which is at Kara Chris TV, and it's going to be under my playlist. The first playlist that pops up is my podcast info vids. This is going to be in there, so you guys can do the research on your own. But he does this this mac and cheese dish that is keto friendly, and then he goes into 5 other dishes, and I'm going to put that on there. I'm just kind of speed through a little bit of this talking so we can get to the other good stuff that is going to be those fun calorie burning activities that you can do with your friends and family. So let's get through this one.
Okay, so 11 minutes was perfect. I'm going to take this over to the sink
11 minutes. Okay.
and drain it.
Important.
We'll let it sit there and drain just for a minute. Look at that.
Okay.
Eggs,
So,
the milk and the water.
eggs, milk and water.
We're going to stir that up a little bit. And what I'm going to do, I melted this butter. It's a little hot, so I'm going to pour a little bit at a time in here just to cool it off a little bit. And then we'll put that to the side. We'll go ahead and dump in the spices into here as well. And all it is salt and pepper. The flavors of the ingredients really need to shine through. That's why I like this pasta so much. So we're going to take half of this cheese and sprinkle it all over here.
Yum.
And get that nice and even. And then we're going to take the other half and pour on just like that. Now I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees. That's what it's going to cook at. I'm going to put the rest of this cheese on there. And yeah, make sure you use a fresh block of cheese and grate it like this. That way you don't have those anti-caking agents in there.
See what he said right there? So a lot of those cheeses that you buy that are in the big bags that are already grated, they have extra additives in them so they don't stick together. Because a natural grated cheese, if you grated up some cheese and threw it in a Ziploc bag, it's gonna kind of mend itself back together and kind of become clumpy in the Ziploc bag because it's freshly grated cheese. If you're buying the grated cheese in the bag already in the store, it's got extra additives, and those things lead straight to cancer and straight to all kinds of hiccups inside of your bowels. You maybe could get constipated. It could cause a blockage. It could cause all kinds of mayhem. So don't get the cheese that's already shredded. Just take the little cheese grater and shred a block of cheese. It's fine. And you're getting a little, look at that tricep workout that's happening here. Get a little tricep, burn a little calories while you're cooking. Go back old school. Everything's so convenient and so already done for you. Go back a little bit old school, put a little muscle into it, and then you're getting a little calorie burn while you're making your meals, and you're making meals that are digestible by your body and not creating havoc in there. So that's what he's kind of glossed over. He kind of just said, don't use that kind of cheese. Just like I said, don't use the Parmesan cheese that's in the container that you get in the warm aisles of the grocery store. Go over, get a block of cheese or the shredded cheese that they have, the shredded Parmesan cheese. That's cheese that they already grated up for you. They're always on sale because they got to move it out. It doesn't have the additive ingredients in it to keep it separated and shredded. They got to move it out before it starts getting moldy. So you can get it on sale. If you're trying to cook a dish, go over there and look what's on sale. That Parmesan cheese is going to be a game changer, but shred your own cheese up. Like, this is so important to do. And also the pasta not being overcooked is going to absolutely affect the way your dish is going to come out. So make sure your pasta, like at 11 minutes, for this type of pasta. Most pastas, that's where it is. It's 11 minutes. So that just shows that this is a good standing pasta that he's using. This looks delicious though.
So what I'm going to do now is just combine all this together. We're just going to take this mixture and pour it
Get out.
all the way in like that. So I've got everything in there. I'm just going to sprinkle the top with paprika. We're going to put it in
Dish.
a 400-degree oven for 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done.
Look at that. All bubbled up.
So let's try it out.
Ooh. Yes, please.
So let me go right in here and get this little bit.
Oh, all crispy like that. Yum.
That looks delicious.
Oh,
See that crust right there? That's what you want on this traditional Southern mac and cheese. So let's try Nana's mac and cheese.
keto friendly.
Oh man.
Scorching hot. Woo!
That's some traditional Southern mac and cheese. It is so good.
That's the way to make mac and cheese. That's the real deal. It's healthy, it's
I
low
like
carb.
the dog came
And if you're
through.
looking for
I was
other
like,
ideas
"I'll something
of
good."
side dishes to put with this, I'm going to leave a link.
Okay, let's move along.
And absolutely delicious.
Yes.
You're going to want to make this again and again. And you can without any guilt because it's low carb and keto friendly.
And you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Here are the ingredients you're going to need to put together this keto green bean casserole. You're going to need some green beans. This is a 12-ounce package. You're going to need
Now he's using the frozen green beans. I would definitely just use, they come prepackaged green beans already cut with the ends clipped off. I would just use the real green beans. I mean, just all you gotta do is throw them in. So a lot of them are pre-washed. You just wash them up again and then throw them in. That way you're getting the real green bean and not the frozen kind. But you know, to each his own. Just a little side tip.
some sharp cheddar cheese. I love this extra sharp cheddar for this recipe, but at least a sharp. You're gonna need some of my keto condensed cream of mushroom soup. And I'll put a card up in the right corner and I'll leave a link for the video in the description so you know how to make it. You're gonna need some heavy cream, some liquid aminos, and I don't do soy as a general rule, but for this, we're only putting a teaspoon in. If you don't like to use soy at all, use some coconut aminos. You're gonna need some seasoning salt, and you're gonna need some pepper. And you're gonna need some of these keto Funyuns. And I'll put a card up in the corner that you can click on, or I'll put a link down in the description so you find out how to make these. I'm gonna go ahead and put everything together, measure out all the ingredients, and I'll be right back and show you how to put this together. And to my favorite mixing bowl, I've added the condensed cream of mushroom soup, I added in the liquid aminos, and I added in the heavy cream. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the green beans. Now the way I cook these, it's in the microwave bag, so I cook it to about 3/4 of the amount of time that it says to cook it on the bag, because you don't want them mushy. You want them still a little bit crispy because they're gonna bake in the oven. Now I'm gonna go ahead and dump in my seasonings.
Just throw your green beans in the pot and just in a pot with some water and just kind of get them soft and then throw it in. Don't put it in the microwave with the bag and all the things. Just don't do that. It takes a little few minutes extra. It's easy cleanup because there's nothing sticking to the side of your pot. And then you're getting fresh green beans that were simmered, and you can simmer them in water. You put a little olive oil in there. That would be my take on it. I'm just kind of really just seeing what the extra ingredients he's using is. Okay, fast forward.
Southern sides is a ton of flavor in that condensed cream of mushroom soup. So I'm just gonna give this a stir, combine it well. I'm gonna put it in either 2 of these 8x8 cake pans or a 9x13 casserole dish, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. Before I put this second bag of green beans in, I just wanna point out that you wanna make sure they're drained really well. You don't want a whole lot of excess liquid in there.
Right.
Go ahead and put those in.
Lisa,
Give it a good stir.
Hey, if you're liking this video and you want to see more like it, look right now here.
Okay.
Add more cheese in this.
5
You
minutes.
can too. So when there's 5 minutes left to cook, I'm going to take these
Fine.
crispy Funyun breadcrumbs,
Okay. Oh,
crumble them up right on top.
onion. Onion crisp.
I'm going to cover this whole thing and give it a nice crispy topping. We'll
I
put it
would
back in
include
for 5 more
We're
minutes.
fine.
I'll show you what it looks like when we're done.
Mm.
So this is what it looks like when it's finished.
Hold up. Where you
I'm going
just
to put this on the plate, put some sides with it.
Okay. This one is. What are we doing here? What's this one? Oh, cornbread. This one's cornbread. Okay.
This tastes just as delicious as the traditional
My kids love
cornbread. But let's get right into this. Let me show you the ingredients you need to put this together. We're gonna need 5 eggs. We're gonna need some sweetener of your choice. I like this Splenda Magic Baker Blend. You're gonna need some almond flour. You're gonna need some coconut flour. You're gonna need some butter. You're gonna need some baking powder. You're gonna need some salt. And I like this Redmond's Real Salt or Pink Himalayan salt. And here's a secret ingredient: cornbread extract.
Huh.
And then you're gonna want an 8-inch cast iron skillet. I'll leave a link to one of my favorites below. So if you don't have one,
Cornbread.
let me show you how to put this together and we'll start cooking it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just take some bacon grease and I'm gonna coat the inside of this skillet.
Beef gelatin.
So now I'm gonna preheat the oven to 350. I'm gonna put this cast iron skillet in here. It's coated with the bacon grease. Let me combine all this and we will start cooking. So what I'm gonna do now is whisk in all my wet ingredients. So I'm gonna mix the eggs in.
Eggs.
I'm gonna mix in the melted butter.
Melted butter.
And I'm gonna mix in the corn extract.
Mm.
So let's mix all this together really well and we'll be right back. Now I'm just gonna whisk in all the dry ingredients, the sweetener, baking powder, and the salt. Then we'll put in the almond flour and coconut flour. We're gonna whisk this together until it all comes together to a dough. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Now this is pretty thick, so I'm just gonna mix in about 2 tablespoons of water. Mix it up again until it comes to a proper consistency. And then just add some water until it's about this consistency. We're gonna put it in the cast iron skillet, and I'll show you how it comes out. Now, if you like traditional Southern side dishes, but you didn't, we're gonna let it sit for about 10 minutes and cool
What did he bake it at?
after that. So after 20 minutes, it still needs probably another 3 to 4 minutes. So after 5 more minutes, that's what it looks like. We're gonna let it sit for about 10 minutes and cool, and then we'll
So
cut it.
25.
All right, so this is cooled for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'm gonna just cut a little slice here,
Let's see what this looks like inside.
put it on the plate,
Because those flowers fall apart.
and tonight we're gonna serve this with some pork chops,
Mmm.
gravy,
Good.
and some green beans.
Nice. I could get down with that. Because butter, I'm
If you have
sorry,
9 cubes,
flour and coconut, almond flour and coconut flour don't hold together the same. So they definitely can be crumbly if you don't have enough of a mixture to hold it together like those eggs. So that's probably why he used 5 eggs to keep the mixture together. But this looks delicious. My kids love cornbread, but if you look at the back of the ingredients, there's so much high fructose corn syrup and cornmeal and the stuff that your body just can't digest very well. So this is interesting. What he put in there was the cornbread extract. That's your secret right there to keep you in a safe zone, being able to enjoy the things you like without tearing down your biodome inside. That's the kicker. That's what we're on about here.
people coming over, I
What's this last one? Oh, I already like
show
it.
you what ingredients you're gonna need to put together this delicious, crunchy broccoli salad.
So the first thing you're going to need to put together this broccoli salad is some broccoli. And I've got 3 crowns of broccoli here. Make sure you get the fresh kind. The frozen is not going to work. You're going to need some bacon. This is my favorite kind from Aldi. I feel like it just crisps up the best.
Aldi.
You're going to need some of my Duke's mayonnaise, either the regular Duke's or in this one I use my Duke's spreadable bacon mayonnaise because I feel like that gave it a little extra bacon flavor. You're going to need some pine nuts.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have pine nuts, you can also substitute almonds. You just want to chop them up pretty small like that because you just want a little bit of crunch. And nuts for some people just don't work, so if you can't have them, don't use them. You're going to need some of this Splenda Magic Baker Blend. This is just for a little touch of sweetness. This is my favorite sweetener by far. And you're going to need some cheese. Now I use this.
He loves that extra sharp cheddar cheese, right? That's Southern right there. I would definitely use the stevia plant or monk fruit rather than Splenda. Just use stevia or monk fruit, and that will keep you even closer to keeping you keto and keeping you on track. So extra
sharp cheddar cheese. That's the traditional Southern way to do it. We love this extra sharp cheddar. You're going to need some sour cream. This is by far my favorite brand because it's super affordable. If I don't go to Aldi, just make sure you get the full fat kind. You're going to need some white wine vinegar. And we're going to need to season this. I'm going to use Redmond's Real Salt or Pink Himalayan. You're going to need some black pepper, and you can either grind it fresh or just take it right out of the container like this. If you can't have it, you can leave it out. So those are all the ingredients we're going to need. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to put together this delicious Southern style broccoli salad right after this. So the first thing you want to do with your broccoli is just cut it into bite-sized pieces. Now remember, this is going in a salad, so we don't want huge pieces.
Okay, broccoli, cut it.
People will ask me if I like more expensive brands, but I have really found that this cheap, premium hardwood smoked bacon from Aldi is the best. It crisps up right. It always cooks right.
Okay.
Microwave bacon grill, but you can also cook it cubed or cook little chips or whatever you want to do with it. So this thing works great for everything. I'll put a link in the description.
Came up with a great way to start doing your bacon in the oven. When you put it on the baking sheet, you cover it up with some aluminum foil. You can do top and bottom aluminum foil, and you put it on convectioner's bake, so it bakes all the way through, all the way from tip to tip. It's like puts the whole oven at the same degree, or you can even do it at air fry, and that gets it nice and crispy very quickly. But if you put the bacon on top of the aluminum foil that's on top of your baking pan, and then you put the aluminum foil on top of that so you don't get splatters of bacon everywhere, then it is so delicious. The thick cut, so it gets really nice. Oh, it's delicious. And then you take the bacon grease, the bacon leftover. That's what he took, the bacon, and put it in his mayonnaise to make a bacon flavored mayonnaise. Or we like to put it over our dog's food because it helps with their coat, getting it nice and shiny. That bacon grease is so yummy, and they gobble their food up. It's so good. It's so tasty for them.
Description in case you don't have one. And speaking of tools, this is my absolute favorite kitchen gadget, the chopper. I'm going to chop this red onion. Oh, I'm pretty sure I forgot to tell you that you need a red onion for this recipe, but you need red onion for this recipe.
It happens. Hey, I like
that's what it should look like right there.
That was so fast.
So your broccoli is already in your favorite bowl. One day my sister-in-law is going to kill me for this, but hey, if she never watches my videos, she'll never know, right? So anyway, I'm going to put the cheese in now. We can go in with a few of these ingredients. Now I'm going to go in with the pine nuts. And like I said, if you don't have pine nuts, just use almonds. Chop them up really, really small. You just want a little bit of extra crunch in there. You could use another nut. Macadamia is a good one also. Just chop them up small. Then add in that red onion that I forgot to tell you about to begin with, because that's going to add a little bit of spiciness. And you just saw me add in the bacon, so add it in, stir that up really, really well, and let's go on to the next step. So we're going to take that spreadable bacon grease mayonnaise and go ahead and add in the sour cream. And we're going to combine this together. But before we do,
Was
we
there
can go ahead and season it. So go ahead and put in your salt and pepper
salt and
and
pepper?
combine it really well together.
White
And
wine.
then the next thing to do is put in that white wine vinegar. That's the good stuff.
Or you
And
can
that's a
buy
little secret to this
cider vinegar.
to really bring out the
That's
flavor.
probably what I'll do.
And then go ahead and whisk it in really, really well. Make sure it's well combined
Okay.
before we go to our next step.
Um,
Now you tell me right now, does this look happy or not happy? It looks pretty happy in there, but I think it could be a little bit better. What can we do to make it better? Let's go ahead and add in that dressing. Oh,
you're
that's
not
the
doing
good stuff.
it right then.
That's the secret to this. That's what
You put the bacon in the oven so you don't get all the terrible molecules from microwave. Or you can put it in one of those little oven tops so that it'll go on your counter. But either way, you're covering it with the tinfoil, which will cook it on the top just evenly. And you won't get a grease fire is what you're on about. A grease fire is not. You just watch it. The oven will burn it off anyway. Just try it. I bet you can do it. Leave that. I've heard it's bad for you. Yeah, Splenda is not the best. If you go with stevia, now if Splenda makes stevia, makes the sugar out of stevia or cane sugar or monk fruit, then you're talking. Yeah. This dude does like bacon. He likes bacon and cheddar cheese. That's the South, though. Come on.
it's going to give it its delicious taste. That's how you're going to make people that don't like broccoli like broccoli. That's our secret in the South. Now you know it.
Get down with that.
And now there ain't nothing to it but to do it. So I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, that's delish. That's delish looking. What's this last one? I'm not quite sure what this is. This looks like, I don't know what that is. Let me see what he says this is. We might have already done something like this already. I think those are radishes. Okay, let's see what he has to say about this.
Mashed potatoes. So let's start by making the rustic version of this first. This reminds me of some red skin mashed potatoes. Super delicious. The first thing you're going to need to do is fill up a pot with some water. You're going to need to get that on the stove on high heat so we can boil that piece quick. Now you're going to need a stick of butter.
We love that.
You're going to need some heavy whipping cream.
Okay.
You'll need some pepper, I like fresh cracked, and some salt, either pink Himalayan or Redmond's, whichever you prefer. You're also going to need some sour cream. I'm going to use my secret ingredient in the next version of these, but the vegetable you're going to use is radishes. Now this is how I like to prepare these beautiful radishes. We're just going to chop off that little root like that and chop off the greenery.
I have
Now,
never.
for this one, we're leaving it rustic, so that red skin's really going to look good in there.
Okay.
So the easy way to prepare these is just cut them in half. Them into quarters if you want, but to me, it seemed a whole lot easier just to cut them in half, and they cooked in the same amount of time. And I've tried them both ways. So after you've got them all cut in half, you're just going to dump them into the boiling water. Pick up any that you dropped trying to be fancy, and then we're just going to set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
Now it's time to use a tool that since I started keto, I have not used a lot at all until now. This is my potato masher.
I always
The best
use
one
that.
I found, and it's going to go through these radishes really easy. So after the radishes have
I use that potato masher for my cauliflower mash, for all kinds, my egg salad, like all the time. Always using that. You don't need all the fancy gadgets. You could just put your elbows, put your muscles into it, get it going.
finished boiling for 10 minutes, we're going to take them out, take them over to the sink, and give them a good drain.
I've never heard this.
After they're pretty well drained, we're going to put them back in the pot. I'm going back over to the stove with them and cook them again just for a few minutes to get rid of all this excess moisture. Now you don't have to do this if you like a little bit thinner mashed potato, but It really helps a lot if you want a nice, thick, creamy consistency to do this step.
Okay, butter.
I'm going to mash these radishes up proper, and then we'll move on to the next step.
Mash them up.
And make sure you mix it up really well. And I've said it's rustic. It kind of reminds me of the red mashed potatoes, although it's more of a pinkish tint. Once you boil those radishes for a few more minutes, and I'll go in and get the texture I want with that potato masher. On the next version I'm going to make, which is coming up right after this, I'm going to use an immersion blender. You can use it on this one as well if you want a little bit creamier texture. And it goes great served with my meatloaf. If you haven't tried that recipe yet, I'm going to leave a link up above and in the description so you can make this delicious meatloaf. You will absolutely love it. You're going to need some butter. You're going to need some heavy cream.
Okay, we just did that. All right. So this is...
Break out the immersion blender. This is what's going to get it down to that mashed potato texture. And if you like it a little about any dish, anything you'd have mashed potatoes with, this is going to work perfectly.
And radishes are super healthy for you too. So has anybody else ever heard of that? I've never heard of using radishes. It's always been potatoes or, cauliflower, or maybe a half cauliflower, half red potatoes. I've never heard it done with, like the other guy did it just with egg whites and some, what did he use? He used some, what was it called? Beef gelatin with egg whites and egg white protein, and then some different types of cheeses like cream cheese and then mozzarella cheese. That's what I forgot. Cream cheese. I'm going to try these dishes because I want to see if there's anything that tops my cauliflower mash. But this is the other one that he did with the what was it, mac and cheese, but he used like the keto friendly macaroni noodles. I'm gonna try these things. I'm gonna put the mozzarella on there. I'm making my list right now because I'm gonna try them out and see, because I like to try them out and give you guys like a real take on what these are. But I like that he's a Southern. I'm from the South. I live in the South, but it can really get daunting when you're constantly eating the Southern foods with all of the starches and all of the stuff that spikes your insulin and glucose levels. So going keto is really important, so you don't end up shortening your lifespan by 40 years from not switching things out and having a little life hack on there. But I also am a big fan of doing the meatloaf, as long as it's, yummy. My kids like to have, a little meat on the side. We are meat eaters. Well, my daughter is, she can, some meatballs. Meatballs is about where it's at. Meatballs and chicken cutlets. But they do make a breadcrumb that is made from pork rinds. So the breadcrumb is actually pretty good if you do it on an air fry function. So my husband has a great recipe. I'll see if he can whip something together and share that with you guys. But he is a man that did not cook. Sorry for outing you, babe. He was not, even though his mother is a fantastic chef. She can cook a freaking meal, let me tell you. But, he was more of the taster and the eater and not so much the learner of how to cook those meals. So when I'm working and I have a full-time job and we started having kids together, I'm like, look, you got to pull your weight. I'm not going to come home and cook every single meal every night. Like, you can do it too. And Lord, if you have never tried to hone into a new skill of your own and let it flourish like this man has done, he is an incredible chef now. He comes up with all these great recipes and makes these meals, and you just never know what talent you have hidden underneath there unless you give it a go. So if I never nudged him and said, I'll cook a few nights, you cook a few nights, and we kind of merged our traditional lifestyle where the woman's always in the kitchen and taking care of the family, but I also had a full-time job too, it's a lot on one person, especially all the house chores and all of things. So nudge your man, nudge your guy to say, hey, how about you chip in and you make some meals and give him a little love and praise for those meals that he tries. And you never know what's going to come out of that, because now he comes up with all of these amazing keto friendly recipes that he's found, online or looked somewhere, and he's so good at marrying the flavors and making it taste so delicious. So you never know what's in store. So just give them a little nudge, give them a little praise, a little high praise, and you never know what's going to come out on the other end. You just never know what you guys are